So, before I was inundated with questions and besieged by requests, OMG, Jeff, what do you think of the latest news from the Shroud of Turin craze? I thought I'd get out ahead of it and bring you what I think about this latest Shroud craze. New article out. And tomorrow we've got Emmy Evolving on the program at 2 p.m., I believe, suggested by Tracy Dyer. So if it sucks, you know who to blame. No, we're looking forward to it. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. Today, we are going to look at the Shroud of Turin, the mystery, the mania that still surrounds the Shroud of Turin. I've done at least 2 or 3 videos on the subject, and yet we still find ourselves here again. And it's appropriate this time to take a quick look into the chat room. And I just wanted to say hello to Nancy, the Shroud, the other J-Man. Material Classified says it looks like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Good News Ministry sums up my feelings precisely when he says, silly, evil, and adulterous generation still seeking signs after all these years. In one ear, out the other, 2 trees. I salute you. Thank you so much for that very nice and generous donation. I appreciate it very, very much. And Material says it looks like he was buried with a dog and a horse. Yeah, wow. Robert, USN vet, the level of deception never stops. I agree 100%. T-Boom talking about driving people mad. We got a lot of interesting things to talk about over the next few days and weeks and months and years. I don't know if we have enough time to do everything that we need to do, but we're going to do it. We're going to do everything that we can. We're going to keep firing out. NASA's desperately trying to downplay it. Oh, anyway, we got a lot of other stuff going on. So let's talk about, hi, Matthew Garvin. I'm glad that you can catch a live show too. And glad to see Marsden Brooks in the chat room. So we're going to talk about the Shroud of Turin. This is from a CNN Travel, and that's the level that it's got to. When you're on CNN Travel, that's like you're playing the Orleans in Vegas. Your career is really, really just about done. At this point, it's just about cashing some checks. But CNN Travel talks about the Shroud of Turin, says it's still surrounded by mystery and passion. And when fake news has got you on the back pages of fake news, it's time to probably just give it up. But you know how these people are. They're very, very persistent. So good afternoon. Happy anniversary to you, Tracy Cooper Ryder. When she was 24, this lady walking near the Vatican caught a glimpse of what she called a beautiful face of Christ. Yada, yada, yada. It was a photograph of the Shroud of Turin. She thought it was ridiculous. I agree with her. But now she's a great researcher of, she's a shroudie, it's called. They got a word for it. They got a word for it. And basically, that's people that believe that the 14.5 by 3'7" linen cloth bears an image of what people think is, in fact, the burial cloth of Jesus of Nazareth. Only one problem is there wasn't any Nazareth when Jesus was supposedly born there, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. We'll move on to something else. But I do want to talk about C60 Purple Power. I take this stuff twice a day. It is a powerful antioxidant. It allows your cells to function at their height of everything. And I'm not just trying to be silly, but everything a cell needs to do, C60 makes it easier for that cell to do it. And if your cells can do what they do at a heightened level of proficiency and efficiency, cousins, that's good for you. Go to c60purplepower.com. Use the code TCW10, the Christian Whistleblower 10. You get a full 10% off. And this stuff will change your life, or I wouldn't be talking about it. So go to c60purplepower.com. Use the code TCW10, and you will get 10% off, and you will be thanking me for what you have done. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a little historical image, a historical breakdown on the image of the Shroud of Turin. In the 13th to the 14th centuries, when we first saw it, it started being displayed in France. Not that everything that comes out of France is fake, because there's some good stuff that comes out of France. In 1390, which is right at the very end of the 14th century, because those of you that are Christians and don't study much, centuries like the 13th century started in 1301 and goes all the way to 1399. Is that right? No, I think I've got it wrong. The 20th century, no, the 13th century started, and we're anyway, you know how it's confusing. So, all right, my bad. And we're going to try to be more. I'm going to, when I say we, I mean me, going to try to be more, going to try to be nicer to newbies. I'll just ignore newbies when they ask things and say things. I'll just ignore them. And I would ask that you would too. And then if we see them coming back and hanging around and still saying silly stuff, then we'll begin to talk to them. But right now, we're going to talk about, but anyway, what I was trying to say is like the 13th century start is the 1200s. So we're talking about a long time ago. And this local bishop called it a fake in 1390, which was the 14th century. That's very, very late. He called it a fake, ladies and gentlemen. In 1898, a photographer discovered that there was a negative image on the shroud. In 1976, there was a scanner that put 3D encoding on the shroud. In 1978, the Shroud of Turin Research Project started doing trials on the shroud. In 1988, the shroud was radiocarbon dated to the medieval period. Oops, that's a little bit of a problem. In March of 2013, a quote unquote researcher says it could be anywhere from 300 BC to 400 AD. That's like saying it could be real. Do you understand that 300 BC to 400 AD is almost all of modern history? That's what you call a shot in the dark, ladies and gentlemen. Pope Francis in 2013 called it a icon of a man scourged and crucified. There's no date on that, and 2013 doesn't sound right for Pope Francis. In December of 2013, they said they were open to retesting it. 2015, they stopped showing it in public. 2018, the latest research is that the blood flow in the shroud is not consistent. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you got people that have been wanting to see it since the 1300s. That first local bishop in 1390 said it's a fake. You're just showing it to try to sell people tickets to a show. The church would never do that, ladies and gentlemen. They would never just sell tickets to a show, would they? Well, I'll let you be the judge of that. And we talked about the fabric in the shroud being pegged to about 1260 to 1390 AD. That should have closed the case, even as the article here states from fake news. But not only does research into the shroud continue, and you know, research is not research when it has a predetermined conclusion already. That's called confirmation bias. And if you are researching the Shroud of Turin because you know it's really the image of Jesus Christ, then you're not researching. Researching is, we don't know what's on this thing, and we're going to objectively take a look at it and try to find out empirically what it is. That's researching. So when you already decide that you know the Shroud of Turin is real, and you start telling me all of your reasons why, that's not research. That is confirmation bias. You can't even begin to research until you get to the place where you say, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm willing to take a look and try to figure out what it could be, ladies and gentlemen. You can't see it anymore, not live. There's so much emotion tied up in this thing. And it continues to really, really make me angry in some respects, and to just befuddle me that we can date it to the Middle Ages and people still want to say that it is the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, even though we've proven to you that Jesus Christ was never real, so he was never buried, so he could never have a cloth on him. Like this person says, as a Christian, I believe this is the face of God, and that this is very, very profound. This is a woman named Moon. Imagine that. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to think and why it continues to be so widespread, why so many people continue to want to believe it, other than so many people continue to want to believe it. How many times do you have to disprove something in order for people to stop believing on it? The fact of the matter is that when people believe in something, they don't let silly things like facts get in their way. They just don't. And it's sad and it's silly and it's crazy, but it is what it is because people want it to be what it's not. They want it to be the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, even though he didn't exist. They want it to be the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, even though it's 1,000 years too late or many, many years too late. I know we get into history and we start trying to figure out what's history and how many years are here, how many years are they are there. It is interesting that even if it was the image of Jesus, isn't there something in the 10 Commandments about not having any images? But the Catholics broke that one long time ago. The pervading feeling is among scholars that it's a medieval forgery. Relics are big business, and Shroud was the ace of all relics. Think of the amount of money that's been collected by the Shroud of Turin. Lots and lots of money, ladies and gentlemen. And the latest researcher says people still believe in it, even though it's been definitively proved fake, says Christopher French, researcher. It happens with so many of these kinds of claims. The skeptics think that they finally killed it off, but then the claims are like zombies. I don't think it'd matter what evidence you put forward. There'd be a way of explaining it away because, ladies and gentlemen, people want to believe in Jesus and people want to believe that the Shroud of Turin is the burial cloth of Jesus. Shroud believers have theories, and the best bet is that David Rolfe, believer, says the best bet is that over the years, the shroud has been grabbed and kissed and sweated on by the faithful, forming a bacterial sheen that dated the shroud incorrectly. Over the years, let me see, I got this right. It's been grabbed, kissed, sweated on by the faithful. Sounds like the people in my prayer line back in the day. You know what I mean? In the name of Jesus. And that it's formed a bacterial sheen that has dated the shroud incorrectly. That's interesting because it would have to be an even and uniform bacterial sheen over the entire shroud. So you're telling me people have been sweating over this little bitty baby corner down here? The same amount they've been sweating over this corner right here where this face is? Come on, guys. Really? 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 Another researcher says even the carbon dating can't distract people that have believed in the shroud's authenticity. Christians believe out of ignorance and because they've taken sides, not for valid reasons, says another researcher. The bloodstains on the shroud do not follow the sequence of crucifixion, says Borini. And yet the lure of the shroud continues to call people to France to come and look in it. Somebody says it'll be a cold day in hell before I stop believing in the shroud. Well, that's interesting because there's not a hell either. And there certainly wouldn't be any cold days. in hell if there were, ladies and gentlemen. Would I go see the Shroud if I could? Probably. But would I go out of my way to see it? Probably not. I'm certainly not going to France to try to see the Shroud of Turin. But why do people still want to believe in the Shroud of Turin? Why do people still want to hold on to beliefs in things that have been thoroughly disproven? And why do they want to hold on to beliefs in things that cannot be proven and that have been shown to have absolutely no historical relevance? Why do people continue to want to believe in this Jesus guy, even though he's been proved not to be real? It's really sad. And for some reason, Jesus Christ is a superstar. Oh, remember that old rock opera in the 70s? Now, I know that Neil Diamond didn't sing it, but wouldn't it be fun if Neil Diamond did sing Jesus Christ Superstar? What is the power of this most persistent of myths? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, but could you imagine Jesus Christ Superstar? Who in the hell do you think you are? Neil Diamond, Jesus Christ Superstar. Come on, man. It's time for us to grow up. It's time for us to get beyond this silliness, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what we have in the chat room. No, the Shroud of Turin is not the burial cloth of Jesus Christ. If it is a burial cloth, it might be the burial cloth of Jacques de Molay, who died at the right time and who looked a lot like, and when I say a lot like, I mean almost exactly like the image that's on the shroud. And he did get beaten up very, very badly and then burned. So they did it probably before he burned, killed him, brought him out, burned him up. But anyway, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's my take. Two Trees, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. And where do we leave off with the chat? It is good to be here. I guess we've got some thing about galaxies going on that I haven't seen yet today because I've been deep inside Shakespeare's Secret Messiah. We'll do another show later on tonight, part 2 of the organic portals. What time will that show be? Let me tell you right now, because I got a little dandy thing that tells me the best times to do shows based on the demographics and viewing habits of the audience that is my target audience. This being Thursday, we'll do another show at 5 p.m. tonight talking about organic portals. And we might even do another one after that at 9 p.m. because Thursday looks like a really, really dandy day to be doing YouTube extravaganzas of podcast excellence. So we will be back at 5 o'clock today, possibly 9 o'clock as well. So be ready for that. Let me see if I can see what people said here about this thing. What's going on? Did anyone catch the news of the second Voyager hitting the wall of fire at the edge of our solar system? No, but I will check it out. That sounds kind of interesting. The Voyager hitting the wall of fire. My first thought is that sounds really silly and it's probably a hoax. But anyway, because see, ladies and gentlemen, that's kind of a good way that you can tell who's a researcher and who's a repeater. A true researcher, a true empirical person, a true objective person, usually their first response is going to be, I don't know, that doesn't sound right. A true researcher, a true empirical objective researcher doesn't want to believe. A true researcher has to find proof. And there's all of these people making all of these YouTube videos that want to believe. They just want the latest, most fantastic, most salacious, most scary thing that they can throw out there that'll get them the most clicks, the most donations, and the most views. We're not like that. Jeff, how come you don't jump on things as fast as everybody else does? Because I am not a vulture. Because I am not a YouTube bottom dweller. I'm not here for sensationalism. I'm not here to tickle your ears, and I'm not here to speculate on things half baked like everybody else, with the exception of a few, like my buddy Rex Bear, that are on YouTube. That's why I've got this P1000 sitting here next to me, because I'm not going to take the word of other people about the moon and about the solar system and about the shape of this world that we live on. I'm going to investigate it my damn self. That's why I've got this drone sitting over here. Not because I don't have anything else to spend money on, but because it will help me research better, and as Rex said, see farther than other people can see, because that's what real researchers, that's what real investigative reporters do, is they don't read, rinse, and repeat. They go out and they discover and they research and they report. And that's what my commitment is to you. So am I going to read an article and just come and repeat what they've said to you? No, most likely not. I will take a look at this hitting the wall of fire, the edge of the solar system. I will research it. And if there's something there, I will, in fact, bring it to you. It's like that organic portals thing. Somebody sent me an article. They weren't happy with how I used it. Sorry. But I've just begun to use it. So stay tuned and don't worry. But that's some deep stuff. And we will continue to bring you that part 2 tonight at 5 o'clock p.m. So I guess it's causing a big to-do within NASA. Kingish says we're living in a hologram. I just don't know about that. I really don't. Not that it's not holographic and doesn't have holographic aspects. I just don't feel like it's all some pointless game. If we're in a hologram, I think we're in an arena. We're being tested and proven as to what we'll do and how we'll do it, and we win and we move on, if that's really true, that part of that. I just don't know. But I can't say, oh, it's just a simulation, it's just a game, nothing's real. I don't know about that. I really don't know about that. So let's see, plasmic electrical universe. I would say that it is an electrical universe, but I'm getting ready. And as soon as I read the book last night and I read the manual for the P1000, I know how to work it. I got a tripod, and I understand there's this special alignment with Saturn and Venus and something else, Mars, maybe Mars, Saturn, Venus. That's very rare. We're going to get that out. We're going to fire that up, and we're going to get it. We have a telescope too, so we'll do both, and we'll get it and we'll see what's up there. Because when you look through the P1000, when you look through telescopes, you don't see what you see when NASA gives you a picture of a star. And I want to know why. Well, that's because they're so much closer and better. Is it? Maybe. But maybe stars and planets aren't what we've been told stars and planets are. And maybe the moon isn't what we've been told the moon is. And with all due respect to my Sunday morning partner, broadcast partner, Wayne Steiger, the more I read, the more I study the facts and not the feelings, the objective, observable, empirical evidence, not the emotional evidence. What they showed us and how they showed us it going to the moon, I got some problems with that, cousin. I got some real problems with that. Like, even when I asked Wayne on Sunday, well, if he was the first guy on the moon, who was the guy on the moon taking the picture? Well, it was just the camera was just sticking out from the module. Really? Because I didn't see it sticking out from the capsule, and it's just perspective. Oh, really? Because I've been there to the Smithsonian and looked at that thing, and I went back and looked at my pictures, and I don't see any cameras with any perspective on where that ladder would have been. And then there's a little detail that the two of those dudes couldn't have been in there in their spacesuits. There's not enough room, literally not enough room for astronauts fully suited up to be inside that lunar module. And oh yeah, we forgot to mention this, but the lunar dune buggy, forget what it's called, lunar rover, it couldn't fit in the LEM either. Oops. Anyway, I'm just saying, I got a lot of questions, and maybe the answers will show that yes, we did go to the moon and we went just exactly the way they showed us. That's possible, but it doesn't look likely to me. But I'm looking at why, because when I started this whole thing about the moon, of course we went to the moon, and of course we went just like they showed us. I've seen the lunar module in Washington, D.C. But then I started reading and researching and seeing that the dimensions weren't big enough. And I go back and look at that thing, and it's got like tin foil and curtain rods. And who's taking the pictures of the dudes? And what, there's a cat, they show them taking off. Who's left behind? Is Bruce Willis still on the moon with a camera? Lots of questions, ladies and gentlemen, and not so many answers from official channels. So I'm asking questions. That's why I got a P1000, so I can start providing some of my own answers. That's why I got a drone, so I can start providing some of my own answers about other things. And if that makes you upset, then you have to ask yourself, are you really a researcher? If a search for facts offends you, then are you really a researcher? I don't know. I really don't know. And if we take it personally, when our perceptions are challenged, I'm not so sure that's the mind of a healthy researcher. So if you're here and you're cussing me and you're questioning me because I have the audacity to suggest that maybe we didn't go to the moon, or if you're cussing me because I'm not saying, of course the earth is flat, well, I got to see research. I got to see proof. I got to see data, ladies and gentlemen, before I get into and start saying, this is real. This is true. There's no doubt. What that Swerdlow guy said something that I've been saying. Oh yeah, that Epstein didn't kill himself, that he's not dead. I think Swerdlow told, who was it? Did he tell, was he talking to Paladin or was he talking to Carrie Cassidy? But we've been saying that, so I'm glad that he confirmed that. I appreciate that very, very much. Let's see, what else we got? That'd be a great guest for Jeff. It would be a great guest. I did reach out to him, and I reached out also to the guy that I can't remember his name, but I've reached out again to the mud fossil guy. Hopefully Roger will come on. A standing update for you, or standing invitation for you, Roger, to come on to the Christian Whistleblower channel. And what else we got here? CNN is way down in viewership. Of course they have. CNN is not about viewership. It's the Pravda. Do you guys know what Pravda is? Do a little research into Pravda. Pravda was the official, I guess TASS was the official news agency, and was Pravda the paper? But anyway, it was the official propaganda organ of the communist Soviet empire. And that's what CNN is now. And I don't think there's any mistake that it's CNN, because they really want you to know without knowing that it is Communist News Network. They're not going to say it's Communist News Network, but it is Communist News Network. It's Comrades News Network. There's no doubt about it. And they put these things out there, I'm convinced, to show us without showing us, to tell us without telling us. Tracy says the devil is in the details. And, you know, more speculation about the Shroud of Turin. It's speculation. I'm not going to get into various speculations about it. Let's see. It's a money grabbing spectacular. Noobs can be frustrating, but we all were one not long ago. That is definitely true. Oh, Francis became Pope in 2013. It's been so long. I guess because time flies when you're having fun, right? The first Jesuit Pope. Jeff, if we're off by 1,000 years, how do you justify carbon dating? Peter, I'm not trying to justify anything. You are. You're trying to justify things. I'm trying to investigate things. That's the difference between me and you at this point. Thanks for chiming in. People kissing it, praying on it, weeping over it. I wonder what they'd be doing to it if you left them alone at night with it. That's a scary thought, and that could corrupt the samples, if you know what I mean. Hey, but they would do it. You know they would do it. You know they would do it. Who would ever monetize religion? Asked Tracy. I know. And the three-ring circus show in Rome. I can't wait to talk about the blockbuster facts that Joseph Atwell brought out to us. And I'm in the midst of researching them, and I can't wait to do a show about that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just stay tuned, because wow, the circus is even more amazing than we thought it was. Greetings, Abdon in Kansas City. We're fairly close to one another. It's crusty by now, all the kissing and snotting and other stuff, says T Boom. I agree 100%. 100%. Did the carbon was a carbon from a fire messing with the dating? What fire? But anyway, again, Matthew Garvin wanting to believe. If we want to believe, we're not researching. If we're looking to prove something, we're not researching. Objectivity is the mother of research. And without it, you're not doing research. You've got to get to the place. Listen. I was a Bible college graduate. I was a 20-year Christian minister. The happiest day of my life before, back in the day, was when I got licensed to preach with the Assemblies of God. I thought I was on the cutting edge of the move of God on planet Earth. I was sold out the whole route. I thought I knew it, I understood it. And then I started actually stepping outside my paradigm. I started actually researching and studying instead of trying to prove things. And once I started researching and became objective and saw the truth about the original text of the scriptures and saw the truth about the teachings of Paul versus the teachings of Jesus, it was like, what? When I got out of cognitive dissonance, when I got out of a predetermined conclusion, when I got out of my confirmation bias and really began to study, that's when I really began to learn. That's when I went from thoroughly indoctrinated to becoming unindoctrinated. And even now, I wrote a book called Apostle Paul Antichrist. I wrote the first chronological New Testament in order of which the books were written. I have talked about how the New Testament was a battle between Jesus and Paul. And I continue to have an open mind, and I realized through new research that the Gospels were written by Rome, not Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And they were probably written in the 80s, backdated to the 30s. By Rome, because the evidence shows it to be true. Once you think you've got it figured out, you're finished as a researcher. Once you think you know what's going on, you're through as an investigative journalist, especially when you're investigating within the spiritual and the paranormal as well as the normal. Once you think you know, you don't. That's why all these people that come on to YouTube, getting their messages from a father, a mother, a sister, a brother, getting their messages from an angel, getting their message from this, getting their message from that, channeling this, channeling that. Why don't you just, it's the same thing as CNN. What is CNN? It's a channel. That's where you're getting your message. What is YouTube? It's a channel. You've got to get to the place where you guide your own spirit. You master your own ascension. You are your own guru. Don't listen to me and take what I say as truth, because I don't know. And I'm the best of them because I admit I don't know. And what I don't know, my hunger for the undiscovered is what drives me. Be so afraid of the ones that are the messenger and the witness and the prophet and the guru. Be so afraid of those people that have it all and got the message and are just giving it to you. Be so afraid of those people because they're full of crap. And they're dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. They're dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. You are the source of your own ascension. You are the source of your own enlightenment. You are the source of your own advancement. And advancement and enlightenment and improvement is your destiny. Don't let anyone allow you or con you to be comfortable or satisfied. There's more, there's bigger, there's better, there's higher, there's greater, there's more to learn, there's more to know, there's more to see, there's more to do. And it's up to you, ladies and gentlemen. It's up to you, ladies and gentlemen. Relics were big business, Omid, and they still are, apparently. The moon does sound loony. Most people want physical scientific proof of anything mystical. I want physical scientific proof of anything. Period. If God said not to make images, why would he make one? It's a good question, Peter James. That's a really good question. Is it an actual burial cloth or a complete fake? Real blood on it? Well, you can't prove yes to any of them. You can't prove yes to any of those questions. I think it's fake. But if it is a burial, it could be De Malay's burial cloth. That's an interesting hypothesis. But yeah, I would still go with fake if I had to. If I got pushed into a corner, I'd go with fake. Omid says not enough blood. The proportions are all weird. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Let's see. Happy 12/12. And by the way, remember the 10th, everything was supposed to be over, and here we are. Or was it the 11th? I don't know. I lose track of the doomsday predictions, ladies and gentlemen. If there was a hell, every day would be cold. I don't get that one, Tracy. I don't get that one. Christians believe anything they're told to, especially when it comes to an actual fake artifact from the make-believe Jesus. Absolutely. Let me get to the rest of these comments, and it just jumped on me again, ladies and gentlemen. It just jumped on me again. Let's see. Come on. Boy, there's a lot of comments in here today. Let's see. Christianity has to be the best Ponzi scheme ever invented. Which pope was it said this fiction has made us a lot of money? Interesting. Here we go. I'm back to where I was. Let's see. There, I saw some good stuff over here. Oh, what else did I see here? Matthew's like a $3 bill. I agree 100%. Because they're so hungry for some reality. They're willing to make it up. Your face looks dead, Jeffrey. You have no life in your soul or spirit. Why, thank you, Girl Friday. That's so nice of you. What a wonderful Christian thing for you to say. What a wonderful thing for a visitor to come in and say to a host of a program. Thank you so much, Girl Friday. But I did notice that you don't have your picture on your meme. I'm not saying that means anything, but I'm just saying you don't have your face on your meme. And she thinks I look dead and have no life in my soul or my spirit. Okay. The P1000 has not been powered up yet. I'm still reading, ladies and gentlemen. Joe, people don't care that the letter J is really young. The letter J is what, 14th, 15th century. And when we talked to Joe Atwell, and I meant to say this, but I don't want to interrupt him because he gets on such a great roll and gives us so much information. Fishing for men, stabbing men, pulling them out. Think of the letter J, Jesus, and just put a little hook on the end of it, and you got a nice fish hook. So Jesus is bait for men. It's bait to wreck real men and bait to wreck real women and turn them into a guppy in a tank instead of great whites in an ocean, devouring their enemies and rising to higher heights. We're supposed to be king of the freaking ocean, and we're guppies in a little round bowl. Come on, man. Let's be who we are. Where Jeff and Jay Atwell meet, there's a synergy of truth. I'm going to go out to Joseph Atwell's house, and we're going to put something on. And and Girl Friday, someday I'll meet my maker. I feel so sorry for you. Oh, do you really? It's so nice of you. Such a great Christian to say that somebody looks so dead, and then to say I'm going to meet my maker. Guess what, Girl Friday? Anyway, thank you, Girl Friday. Thank you so much for being so sweet and nice. You really show the love of Jesus to me, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And you really do show the real love of who you are by those comments. So thank you. Thank you very, very much. Harry Christie heard of the Firewall and Rex's show 2 weeks ago. I'll have to check that out for sure. Let's see. NASA is like most government agencies that are a waste of money. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. Jeff, it's a game, but it's not pointless. I can go with that, Scotty. I can go with that. Ooh, Cynthia's on the way home, and guess what she's bringing, folks? A little thing I like to call sushi. Ooh, yeah. Gonna have some sushi, ladies and gentlemen. What? You don't see NASA's CGI? Deception is worse than outright ignorance. NASA is the biggest lying government agency. Javanka, that's a big statement. Is NASA the biggest liars? What about, I was going to say, what about the Fed? But guess what? The Fed's not a government agency. Did you know the Federal Reserve is no more federal than Federal Express? It's a private bank that lends us our money and charges us interest on it. Why don't we just make our own money and cut them out? It's paper. Doesn't mean anything. It's not real. But we're paying real wealth for interest on a fake thing that's making somebody else rich. We're a special kind of special, aren't we? We're a special kind of special. A special kind of special. They're not balls, but they're our lives, says Harry Christie, going back to the stars and the planets. I have a feeling I'm going to say that they are energetic entities. Yahshua is not God, Beni Emet says. You're right. Thank you for playing. Stars look like electric static ball things. That's a technical term from Tracy Dyer, the scientific mind of Tracy Dyer. Cool like electric static ball things. Well, guess what, folks? The P1000 has got a record button on it. So I will be recording video, near cinematic quality video of stars, and we will see if they do indeed look like cool like electric static ball things. Melly Holmes, nice to see you, says that our bones are made of crystal. We transmute light to knowledge through us, and our brain is the seed. That's a nice thought. It really is. I like that thought. I don't know that there's empirical objective proof for it, but it's a good thought. And you know what? It's one thing to have thoughts like that. I think that we're made of crystal and that we transmute light to knowledge through us and that our brain is the seed. That's a cool thing to think. And the nice thing about it is Melly's not saying if you don't believe this, you're going to burn forever in a lake of fire. She's saying, I think this is cool. And you know what? She might be right. She might be wrong, but she might be right. I don't know if I place that much reverence on this meat suit. Maybe that's my problem. But I like what you're saying, Melly. Please continue to bring interesting statements to the chat room. See, I love interesting statements, even if I don't agree with them. I just don't like dumb statements. Pluto literally had Disney's Pluto as the planet. All CGI, nothing but. I've seen that. And that bothers me. And what I see in that is I see the arrogance that goes all the way back to the Flavian dynasty, creating the New Testament full of black cutting, arrogant humor. And that spirit is still there. Let's call this planet, you know what we should call it? Let's call it Pluto. And we'll put the dog on it. Ladies and gentlemen, somewhere they're laughing at you. And they're worried about me. I like it that way. I like it that way. Bennett says that Yeshua is just a man, servant, and prophet. He's just smoke, mirrors, and Puff. He's no more real than Puff the Magic Dragon. Yeshua wasn't real. Jesus wasn't real. And it's time that you wake up. And guess what, Beni? You don't look like a guy that celebrates Christmas, but you might want to research Santa. I'm just saying. Just saying. Jovanka says no one ever went to the moon. You know what? They should have to prove they really went. And they really haven't. They really haven't. They really haven't. Stars up close look like living cells, says Lisa Post. We're going to see. I like that. I like that. Stanley Kubrick directed the moon landings. I know that's been told and sold, but here's one problem I have with it. And maybe I shouldn't have a problem with that, because a person that is known to be a proven liar, a proven deceiver, sat there and told me that they were sitting at a dinner table with Oliver. What was the guy that did JFK? Oliver Stone, and Stanley Kubrick. And Stanley Kubrick told this person that he directed the moon landing. So I'm jaundiced by a knowing liar telling me that lie. But, and I know Kubrick supposedly confessed on his deathbed, but again, those things, I don't know. And we don't need to have Stanley Kubrick's word to know that those moon landings that we saw on TV were a production and weren't the real thing. I mean, there's just too many questions. There's just too much that don't add up, ladies and gentlemen. Not saying we didn't go, saying I've seen no proof that we went, saying what they showed us about going. I'm not buying it. I am not buying it. A glass sky is blocking out ascension to other planets. That's an interesting theory. That's an interesting theory. The full foil capsule would have melted. Yeah, that seems to be what the science says. The moon's an enigma, that's for sure. And oh yeah, as Nikki Lauren reminds us, they happen to just lose the technology to go back to the moon, and they happen to tape over the original footage. Now, if you've got an old copy of Winnie the Pooh, I can see you taping over that footage. But when you've got the footage of the most amazing technological achievement in the history of humanity, how does that get taped over? Oh, it was just laying there somewhere and an intern picked it up while he was eating Domino's pizza and taped over it. Do you realize that if NASA really had, think about this, ladies and gentlemen, if NASA really had the original footage of the greatest technological achievement in the history of humanity, don't you think it would have been under lock and key somewhere under special preservation? Look at the Shroud of Turin. They got it behind bulletproof glass, Declaration of Independence, letters from presidents under bulletproof glass, hermetically sealed. But the tapes of the most amazing technological achievement in the history of humanity laying somewhere where somebody can accidentally tape over them. They must think we're really, really stupid. Not me, not anymore. Not me, not anymore. Oh, that's so good. Scotty says the lunar buggy was on a space trailer. Yeah, I forgot about that. It could have been on a space trailer. They just tied a long rope to it, and it was just trailing along. Oh boy, did they put air or nitro into the lander's tires? I think my understanding was that they were solid tires, wasn't it? That's another reason why the damn thing couldn't fit on the limb, even folded up. It couldn't fit. The place where they showed the dimensions of it, they didn't think that anybody would ever actually look at it. Somebody did, and it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. And if I bring back a rock and say it's from the moon, how do you know it's from the moon? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. How did we have enough fuel to get back? That's a question. Bruce is a badass, and he could still be there. He could still be there. Let's see. Justify astronomical budgets. The light was wrong. If you never search in the first place, can you be a researcher? Oh, that's a funny little question. I like that. I like that. Now the unaware that never knew they had energy in them are now giving all the praise to their new identity. That's interesting. Okay, Jeff asked the rods if the shroud is authentic. I think we've done this before. Rods of truth. Just warming them up a little bit, folks. Rods of truth. Whoops, sorry. Is Jeff wearing a red shirt? No, he's not. Is Jeff wearing a shirt with gray sleeves? Yes, he is. Is the Shroud of Turin the burial cloth of Jesus Christ? No. Is the Shroud of Turin a real burial cloth? Yes. Is the Shroud of Turin the burial cloth of Jacques de Molay? Oh, the rods of truth say yes. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. TT wants to know if B.N. Emet is a real Muslim, or is he just pretending to be a Muslim? I don't know. Let's see. Portal in and out for sun and moon. That's interesting. Have I heard of Michael Tellinger? Yes, I have indeed. I've met Michael Tellinger. Has anyone seen my Dear Pope Francis vids yet? No, Delaney, we have not. How are things in your world today, Delaney? Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Really, I am. Crow 777 had a cash reward of 5,000. Anybody can find a single unbroken shot footage of a NASA rocket blasting off into space. No one has come forward. Interesting. Let's see. Hit that like button. Thank you so much, Jules. I hope everybody will. Jeff, you've helped me in my studies of the fear, guilt, and control matrix. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's see. Everything leads back to Rome. 20 years ago, I saw the truth. I thought I was alone until I heard you, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate it very, very much. Let's see. Say no to gurus. Absolutely. Guru equals do. I agree 100%. Christianity was a fusion of the mystery cults. Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes and no. Let's see what else we got. Shoot, it jumped. It's probably good enough. We've been here long enough. When a victim is burned to death, do they still have curly hair on their head? Fair question. I've heard the NASA Mars photos are done in a remote area. Yeah. Let's see. Did you see the boots that NASA rolled out asking for money to restore? They were flat on the bottom. Well, and see, Peter James, here's where we have to be careful. The boots that they showed, there's a lot of people, see, the boots are wrong. It's not like the boots that are on the moon. Those boots that you saw were an insert into another boot. And the boots that they showed while they're on the moon was the full boot. So you're wrong in that one. And I researched that and saw that that's true. So it's like the one that's smooth on the bottom is kind of like the inner boot. And they put that into that outer boot. It's like, I was in the military. We had boots like that. It's hard to explain them if you never had those kind of boots on, but It's like the one they showed you was a booty, and the booty goes inside the real boot. Not like a booty, shake your booty, but a booty, like a baby booty. So that is not, and see, we got to be careful repeating things because that one isn't right. That one isn't right. And NASA says we don't have the technology to return to the moon. You had the technology for the greatest achievement in the history of humanity, and you lost it. Yeah, we lost it. Somehow it got misfiled, misplaced, thrown away. Are you really that stupid, ladies and gentlemen? Are you really that stupid? I would hope that you are not. And I would hope that you will. There'd be 100 different copies and 100 different safes, says Good News. I agree 100%. Yeah, they taped over with a Jerry Springer. Ladies and gentlemen. All right, folks. Can we leave the shroud behind and start asking real questions about real things, please? I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. You are the last generation of real humans. If we get busy today, we can win today and write a better tomorrow. Now's the time to guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, and be your own guru, ladies and gentlemen. And only you can unindoctrinate yourself. I'll see you again at 5 p.m. talking about organic portals, walk-ins, fake people. It's going to be a really, really big shoe. I hope that you are there. And we look forward to you. We salute you for being here, seeking after truth. We can win this thing. It's just time for us to get busy. Realize you're divine, you're sovereign, you're free. You don't have original sin. You've got the spark of divinity within. And we're here to live a life, and a life more abundant in peace that passes all understanding. Let's don't settle for anything less. See you at 5 p.m. Central tonight.